Good evening. Welcome to take two of team selection time, a slightly later time than we usually do, but this was the only time we could get it out before the deadline. Gianni has been stuck on Zoom calls all day, and he's still kindly come on for another Zoom call to talk about FPL. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, mate. Yeah, I'm very excited to watch the football tonight. AC Milan versus Man United. It's a big deal that for my family. My dad's a massive Milan fan. They're hopefully returning to the glory years at some point. They're on a sort of upward trajectory in recent years. So yeah, I'll be supporting my Milan tonight. I support all Italian teams in Europe, if I'm honest. But here I am tonight as a Milan fan. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not sure how confident I am. We won't talk about Europe too much, but yeah, I think we were good in the second half, apart from like the last 10 or 15. Then it kind of all went to pot. It could have been, it could have been an even bigger score, but yeah, not too bad, I suppose, going in with a draw. We'll see what happens tonight. Pogba's back on the bench, could be good, but I don't think we're going to be talking about him for FPL for a few weeks. But you never know; things could perk up. Man United aren't playing this week. So we're going to start talking about Game Week 29 in just a second, the blank week. Before that, we will quickly, and I say quickly because you're in the same boat as me, it was a pretty poor week, 41 points. Cancelo getting, what is that, like nearly a third of them with 12 points. And the thing you must have been the most annoyed about was Target and Watkins, right?
Mate, the Targins-Watkins point swing in the last 5 minutes. So I didn't get the Target assist. I didn't get the Watkins goal. I didn't get the bonus points I would have done for Watkins for scoring. And then, of course, the clean sheet wipe out for Target as well. I probably lost 15 points in like 2-3 minutes there. But, I didn't have John Stones. That killed me a little bit. I sold him a couple of weeks ago. And since I sold him, he's scored twice and had two massive hauls. And, of course, Pereira. He went off at half-time. If ever there was a clean sheet coming to Leicester, at half-time when he went off, Sheffield United, their XG was 0.00.
That was a guaranteed clean sheet, wasn't it?
It's banked.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Yeah, so that's weird. I don't know how long he's out for. I haven't heard from Rodgers yet, but yeah. So there was a few rubbish bits this game week, but do you know what? No one really seemed to have a great week, so I didn't lose too much traction.
Yeah, I think it was one of those weeks where a lot of people scored low. Cliche, but it wasn't a bad week to have a bad week. I was in the same boat as you. I pretty much got exactly the same score. I should just say we are recording this live. I know we've done it a few times. Usually we don't record it live. We are. As I said, it's just gone 7:30. So as we're recording, Man United's not yet kicked off. Although again, that's not really going to be a big deal for tonight's game, but Arsenal and Spurs are both playing, and Spurs have just conceded for a second time. So it's about to go potentially to extra time, and that would mean potentially Kane playing 120 minutes. Ooh. So we'll carry on. We'll come on to Game Week 29 in a second. We'll obviously monitor that. It's still about 8 or 9 minutes to go. But yeah, Calvert-Lewin got you the goal against Burnley. I think that was a pretty decent result. It's just the defence just let you down, like so many of us this week. And I will say, I mean, you could maybe say Fernandes was a bit lucky to get a penalty so quickly against Man City, but I thought he was a bit unlucky not to return against West Ham. I thought he was really good, as he usually is, but in this particular game, was a bit unlucky. Did you watch that one?
Yeah, I think I watched all 10 this weekend for my sins. No, there was probably one I missed. I always pick one game where there's nothing in it. I'm trying to think what game I missed. Can't remember. But no, Bruno looked good, didn't he? Do you know what, Andy? I always find it fascinating where Bruno plays because we see him as like a number 10, don't we? But when you look at it and you look at his touch maps and his heat maps, he's a second striker. I know a number 10 is effectively a second striker, but he's not an attacking mid. He's like a forward. Like he's so far advanced all the time. If ever a ball comes into the box, he's in and around it, just like a number 9 forward would be. So yeah, I'm loving the positions he's taken up. And I'm very pleased I held on to him.
Yeah, I feel like he's. I'm not saying he's as good, or I don't want to get into that conversation because it would take forever. But he is a bit like our De Bruyne. He's kind of everywhere on the pitch. Like he will track back, he will win the ball back, he'll happily come deep, but he will also get forward as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows how good he is, right, with his points total. But yeah, I was a little bit. I felt a bit fortunate not owning him in that game, to be honest, because I don't know how he didn't come away with a return. Let's talk about the more important stuff now, which is Game Week 29. Yeah. So you are on. I'm going to count them as we go. You got obviously Lloris, target involvement is 3, Son potentially, Rafinha 4-5, Kane and Watkins. You've got 7 blank players that are going to play. You've obviously got 8 with Ariota, but you can only play one goalkeeper. How many transfers do you have? Do you have 2 or 1?
2 transfers in the bank, baby. Happy about that.
Okay.
If ever I needed it, I've got, yeah.
Okay, well, I guess the transfers are probably going to coincide with my first question, which is, what are your current thoughts with Son?
So tonight, I was pretty set on going Son to Bale. And that's purely because I saw Bale was benched. He came on at 60 minutes, so he was due to get half an hour. If the Spurs game goes to extra time, then his 30 minutes goes to 60 minutes. And I'm not. I need to watch him. I need to see how he's done this evening, but he's less desirable now, having played 60 than 30. I still think he starts. And I still think he'll start against Newcastle. The benefit of Newcastle in game week 30 for Son is he'll probably be fresh. I don't think he'll play this weekend. So then Mourinho can make sure he doesn't play for Korea. That means he'll be potentially fresh for Newcastle, whilst Bale has 3 games for Wales next week, of which he'll probably start or play in 2 of them. But the final one is on a Tuesday, and in game week 30, Bale plays on a Sunday. So there is a little bit of time there for recovery. So I think I'm probably still going to make that move of Son to Bale.
Do you worry? Worry is the wrong word, but I mean, I guess if you had the choice, if they were both fit, Son's the one you'd want long term, right? So do you see yourself almost getting into a position where you're then stuck with Bale when you really want Son?
I should have mentioned that the only reason I'm willing to do this move is because I'm looking to offload that midfield slot in game week 31 for Mo Salah, who gets some nice fixtures. So I only want this Spurs midfielder for 2 game weeks. I've got Harry Kane. He's not going anywhere. The way Spurs are playing at the moment, yes, I know we've seen them beat Burnley and Palace at home, but they're not always playing at home. They're not always playing against the Burnley or Palace team. So I actually think I'm happy with just one Spurs attacker. I also think Bale playing has reduced Son's goal threat a little bit. So I only want a Spurs player for game week 29, game week 30, and then it's Mo Salah, ladies and gentlemen, coming back into the team. So yeah, that's why I'm happy to go with the Bale switch. If I was a set and forget for the rest of the season, I wouldn't be making it.
Interesting. I'm glad you mentioned Salah because I've been talking about him a lot, how I don't want to get rid of him. And I've been told a lot of times that's the wrong choice. But I agree that we won't get too much into it, but the fixtures are very good from game week 31 onward. It doesn't get much better than what fixtures he has for the rest of the season. So that's an interesting point then. Yeah, okay, it makes more sense to do Son to Bale. I mean, I tweeted out about the quotes earlier. I know a lot of people are saying, well, Mourinho in game week 3 said the Son was definitely out and then he played, but I do think there was slight differences in what he said. He actually said something like, I've got it here, I don't want to say he's completely out. Maybe he can surprise us. Whereas this time he said, I feel it's very doubtful for the weekend. There are 2 completely different ways of saying it. So I think he will be out. I think he is going to miss out. If that's your one move, obviously that keeps you on 7 players, because obviously he's one of them anyway. So what will your second move be? And obviously that will bring you up to 8, I assume. You're not going to remove another playing player for this week. And are you looking to make any hits to get the numbers up?
Potentially one hit in there. The move I know I'm definitely making, and I should add, if Mourinho says anything post-match tonight that makes me think Son plays, then I just don't make that sale. But the reason I think Son won't play is Mourinho's kind of got to let him go and play for South Korea if he plays at the weekend, and he won't want him to go away for Korea. I think that reason alone will make it worth him benching. Leaving him out if he's sort of 50-50 on the decision. But no, the other very simple move is with a heavy heart because his fixtures are good and he's just scored for me. Is DCL out? And I was hoping Everton would get a double game week very soon, which is why I wouldn't sell DCL. But now knowing that they're probably not going to double in 30 makes me want to get rid of him and perhaps bring him back when they do double. So going without Bamford this weekend was a move I didn't want to make. I was very scared of going without Bamford this game week. He's probably going to be the second most popular asset this week in terms of ownership, and I wouldn't own him. That's, potentially the highest. He's over 50% owned, right? So probably the highest owned asset that will be playing this week is Bamford. I wanted to get on him. So DCL will go Bamford in if he's fit, which I think he will play.
Yeah, I think Bielsa's I think most people who've got Bamford aren't worried at this point. You never know, but yeah. So that's 2. So yeah, Son to Bale, Calvert-Lewin to Bamford. It's worth saying you've still got your free hit, haven't you? So am I right? You have, haven't you? Yeah. So you can react potentially to any double game weeks that come up if you're stuck for players. So Calvert-Lewin, definitely is probably less of a worry. He does have a good game in 30, but he also doesn't have a game this week. Whereas Bamford also has a good game in 30, which is Sheffield United, which arguably looks like the best fixture to have right now. And he plays in 29, so I like that move. Are you looking to make any more? Any hits coming?
So if I take a hit, it will be for one of my Man City players out. Let's bear in mind, Man City do not play in game week 33. There's so much rotation, especially in the Premier League. I feel that there'll be more rotation in the Premier League than we've seen with Pep this season. We've got a hint of that against Fulham last time out because of the cup runs they're going on. They're still on for the quadruple, right? The Premier League arguably is their lowest priority now because it's kind of one. I think it is one. I think we can all agree on that. So do I want Gundogan and Foden? Probably not. However, if it was a Sterling or a KDB, it would be like, are they going to play? Are they not? It's so much money on my bench if they don't play. These guys are so cheap. I don't mind having them on my bench. The fear of the 1 point coming on with 10 minutes at the end is reduced because Pep is giving players 90. So I'm probably going to sell one of these guys in the next week or two. I'm thinking I might sell one now for a hit. The guy I wanted was Saka. He's not in the Arsenal squad that's travelled to Greece tonight. Arteta said I think he's likely to play. But again, I'm looking at quotes post Olympiakos to see if I can get a steal on Saka. What have you got for me, Andy, on Saka?
No, I was just going to say, he is in the England squad. So I wonder how bad that injury can be. Because, for example, Grealish isn't.
Yeah.
So that makes me think Saka's not too far away. And perhaps, it would have taken a proper bad performance for Arsenal to go out tonight. I think they would have had to concede at least 3 without return. I might have that wrong actually. Maybe it was just 2. No, but even then they would have had more away goals. So I think they had to concede 3. I'm sure the chat will let me know anyway. They're through either way. So yeah, he might be back, but I guess like you said, you're waiting for Arteta to kind of confirm. So which one of Gundogan or Foden would go?
That's the $1 million question, Andy. If I was at your rank, and it's funny because when you say about sort of Salah, and we talk every week, don't we? I feel like we're fairly similar FPL managers. And each week I often feel like our teams are fairly similar. Our chip strategy's been similar. And you're up there and I'm so down there. It's quite remarkable, the sort of the some of the differences to get those rank gains that you've had that I just haven't been able to get this season. But yeah, because of my rank, I feel like the differential in Foden is more attractive to me. Now, I know Foden's at more risk of rotation, and I know he's probably at a greater risk of coming on for those 10 minutes and therefore the 1-pointers. But when Foden does start, I prefer Foden and Gundogan at the moment when they both start. So I think I'm going to sell Gundogan, and I'm just going to have Foden. I'm just going to have Foden because he's a differential. My ranks, I'm kissing goodbye to a good rank this season regardless. May as well have fun with it. And Foden, I'll put in my starting 11. When he doesn't play, I've got quite a strong squad. Someone comes in, Rafinha comes in. And when he does play, I back him to get some goals. Also, the thinking there is most important games this season for City, Champions League and the FA Cup. Oh, and the cup final against Spurs. Those games, Gundogan's going to play in nearly all of them. I don't think Foden will. Foden might get more Premier League minutes because he's not as nailed as Gundogan in that best 11. Or arguably, Foden's getting into that best 11, but Pep's best 11 changes depending on the opponent. I think Foden's going to get potentially as many minutes as Gundogan in the Prem.
Yeah, I don't know if I would argue against that too strongly. I definitely think that in the first 11 stakes, Gundogan is definitely in there, whereas Foden probably should be. I think most people would say he should be, but in Pep's eyes, maybe not quite there yet. Obviously, when he does play, he's brilliant. Like that assist for Gundogan the other night was. He's just so good. I can't wait for the Euros. If Foden's not playing, I'm going to be so annoyed. I just think you just got to play him and hope. Then I think he's just, even if he's young, just get him in and playing. But that's a whole different story. The Euros. So yeah, I like that. I think. With Gundogan, even forgetting about rank, the Man City players is kind of how do I want to say this? It's not the risk is diminished, but I guess the risk is a bit diminished because people aren't going to be captaining Gundogan anymore. It's not like a few weeks ago where he was really the only option. Everyone was captaining him. It's not the case now. I don't see Man City being captained that often. And even in 31, I think a lot of people, if they really want to do it, they will stretch to De Bruyne somehow. So yeah, I think I don't think it's as risky as it probably was a few weeks ago. So potentially Gundogan to Saka. Yeah? No other players you're thinking about? Lingard, anyone like that? Brighton attacker?
No, I'm not on the Brighton attacker because whoever I bring in now in that midfield spot, that value midfield spot, I want for the rest of the season. I don't have a wild card, right? Brighton's fixtures just they're just rubbish. So I'm happy with Veltman because he'll play for me in 33 against Sheffield United and he'll play for me against Newcastle. That's perfect. Um, the only other midfielder I've considered, right, it's between Saka, Lingard, and Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe has
Okay,
played
yeah.
tonight. I haven't looked at his minutes. I don't know if he's played 90 tonight. Lingard is the other one, but I just prefer Arsenal on potentially on form. I know they've not been great tonight, but I think there might be more goals when I look at 4-man fixtures in the Arsenal squad as I do the West Ham one. And Saka is just a player I love. So Saka's slightly edging Lingard. If Saka's injured, Lingard or Smith Rowe is a bit of a 50-50. You need to do a bit more research.
I definitely prefer Saka. I know everyone's like hot on Lingard right now, and the amount of returns he's got is ridiculous. But I think when you go back and look at him, like the two he got against Villa were just crazy. Like every time someone talks about Martinez for Villa, it's always how good of a shot stopper he is. 2 shots straight at him from Lingard, and both of them went in. I do think he's a good player, but I don't think he's necessarily as good as, from an FPL point of view, that everyone's making out. I definitely prefer Saka, and I also think the fixtures are better as well. Just West Ham's are pretty good for the end of the season, but after Liverpool in 30, Arsenal fixtures are really good. It's just the only thing that worries me about all Arsenal players is how much they'll be rotated because of the Europa League in a similar fashion to Man City, because I do think that's Arsenal's best way of getting into the Champions League. I know they're not completely out of the top 4, but it's going to be difficult. So yeah, I like the Saka move. What would Arteta have to say though?
Yeah, so firstly, I need to go back and look at the quotes he's already given. And I think the fact he's in the England squad is great. Also, Andy, they play on Sunday. It's that extra day of potentially him training and therefore being fit. The risky thing with my moves is I'm potentially taking a 4-point hit to bring in Bamford, who's a doubt, although I'm pretty confident he starts, Saka, who's a little bit more of a doubt, and sick note Bale. So, it's 3 moves that could be seen as a little bit risky, but they're just 3 moves I really, really want to make. And they're for players who I just want to own this game week, especially. That Saka's one that I know I'd be happy with between now and the end of the season. They've got a couple of nice fixture runs. He's a good bench option because of his price. I think unless I get something from Arteta saying that he's very likely to be out or we're not too sure, it's got to be really up in the air for me not to go there. If I see a training picture or I look at the quotes from 2 days ago and I'm happy with them, I probably go with it.
Yeah, I was just looking on fantasyfootballscout.co.uk website. Mikel Arteta said on Wednesday this is about Saka. He was doing another test and obviously he felt something muscular, but he's been much better. 2 matches, so that's good. And they've both been really well. So we'll make a decision this afternoon of what we'll do. So it sounds like potentially he could have played tonight, or they could have risked him, but they just decided not to. Obviously, like you say, we can have a look at the quotes later that come out, but potentially a good option. Let me ask you one big question, I would say. So Kane captain, easily going to be the most captain this week. I think that's where most people are going to have the armband for lots of obvious reasons we don't really need to get into, to be honest. But as we've been recording, Spurs are going to extra time. So they're going to have to play 120 minutes. The chances of Kane being subbed seem very minimal to me. So he's probably going to play 120. Does that put you off at all?
I'm just looking to see who has come off for Spurs. So yeah, we've had Bale and Ndombele, Lo Celso, and so Carlos Vinicius has come on. So they've made 4 subs. No, sorry, they've made 5
Reguilon's
subs.
come on as well.
Yes, they've made 5. So Kane is 100% going to play all 120, as we knew he would. Does it? No, because it's Harry Kane and they play on Sunday, don't they? So he's still got the extra date. Look, by 60 minutes into that football match against Villa, it will look like he's running through treacle. But he often looks like that. That's how he often looks overworked because he is. When is Kane ever 100% fit? I don't think he probably has been for a couple of seasons. Like, I bet he hasn't played a single football match where he could look you in the eye, and most players don't, and say I'm 100% fit. He's just overworked. And if we saw a bit more rotation, that Spurs team, we'd get a much better Kane. He's already up at that level, but he would be at that level if he had some rests. Will I consider captain anyone else? No. He'll do a job. He'll do a very good job for 90 minutes again at the weekend because that's just the sort of player he is.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree to us. He just always plays. Even if he plays 120, he'll be fine for the next game. I guess the interesting thing is now we're not going to stay on recording for that whole time or being live for the whole time. But I mean, Spurs could go out, and that could be huge for Kane, Son, and Bale going forward. You know, less games to play, so we'll keep an eye on that. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you can't captain Kane. Who would you go for next? Have you even thought about that? Because I mean, I've got to be honest. I've been on Kane and I haven't even thought about it outside of that.
Yeah, like who would your vice be? I mean, it's probably going to go Bamford, to be honest. I mean, or Rafinha. I would back that Leeds attack to score probably more than any other team. Obviously, Brighton, I'm backing to score against Newcastle, but I'm just not going to own a Brighton attacker. Do I fancy Villa? No, not at all. I think Spurs could shut. If Grealish doesn't play, I worry Villa don't score. So no, for me, it would either be the Leeds attack, or if I owned them, the Fulham attack. It would definitely be that Friday night fixture I would target. That's the one with goals. I feel I can't see a clean sheet there.
Yeah, fair enough. I kind of agree. I think it's really hard to call outside. I think Leeds is where I would go. Maybe a Aubameyang if I had him, but I don't even think. Again, this is nothing against Arsenal. I just don't think West Ham is an easy fixture. I didn't think it was for Man United. That's one of the reasons I got rid of Fernandes. Turns out he probably should have got points. But yeah, I just think that's a tough game. And, you know, go for Bale, but how many minutes will he get? You know, it's all these questions that, yeah, I agree. I think even with 120 minutes, I would still have my armband on Kane. I think that's kind of it. Is there anything else you wanted to add for the team? I think that's...
No, not really. Just one final point on kind of, if you're not getting 11 men out this game week, firstly, I don't think you should be completely besotted with that idea, because there's a lot of players that you might have a wild card that you want this week, but then beyond that don't look great. Remember, whoever you buy this week, if you don't have a wild card, many of those players you'll finish the season with, right? So be careful on the likes of, you know, Brighton, who have got rubbish fixtures. But also, just remember, if you are taking a 4-point hit and you're not getting 11 men out, the player you bring in, as long as he plays 61 minutes, you get 2 points from them already. So effectively, even if they blank and they get 2 points, it's a 2-point hit, not a 4-point hit. I hope that makes sense. But that style of thinking has got me thinking that there's perhaps a 4-point hit in this for me. I didn't want to take 4-point hits. And then I thought of that and went, do you know what? This makes perhaps bringing a Saka or a Lingard a little bit more appealing, because can I see them getting more than 2 points? Yeah, I probably can. So, yeah, just to bear that in mind, really. I don't know if you've had the same thought process, Andy. Are you looking at a hit?
I love the classic 2-point hit in a blank game. Like, it makes sense. There's obviously, you know, like you said, it has to be a long-term move. If it's just for this week, I don't think it's worth the risk. But if you can get a player in for this week to just take that, I almost see it as like I'm gambling 2 points on them, hopefully getting more. And if they don't, okay, I've lost 2 points, but I've also got a player I want for the long term. So I might take a hit. I won't get into my team. I'm completely undecided. I've got problems all over the place. I'm not entirely sure what to do. One of them is Son to Bale. But for me, I want to keep that Spurs player. So I'm not like you. I'm not looking to switch to Salah because I already have him. It's a bit difficult. But yeah, I like that. Obviously, you know, if you then have to spend another 4 points to get rid of him, it ain't worth it. But yeah, if you want them now and then they're a long-term move, like you said, if you want Saka in for most of the rest of the season, you're not looking to rotate that spot, then I don't see a massive issue as long as Arteta says something positive about him, you know. So yeah, no, fully agree.
If Spurs go out tonight, Andy, again, I just banked that Spurs were winning tonight, and that's why I was set on selling Son. Another part of my thinking: if Spurs go out, maybe I do want Son long term, and I want him all season, and therefore I don't make the Bale switch. So there's a lot of things up in the air for me at the moment, based on tonight's games and tonight's results, which we're still a little bit of time short of. But yeah, Son definitely is more appealing if Spurs are out the Europa League.
Yeah, I think Bale versus Son, right, is really tricky because we're obviously working off very small sample sizes because Bale's just not played that much this year. And obviously the games recently he has, you know, some of them have been against really poor teams like Palace, Burnley, etc., who have given up a lot of shots, a lot of goals. And in that small sample size, Bale is definitely shooting more than Son. And Son's also, almost become the creator. It's not necessarily a bad thing, right? I mean, De Bruyne, most of his underlying numbers come from assist threat rather than goal threat, and he's still a great option. But obviously you get pretty much 80 to 90 minutes every game, whereas you don't get that with Bale. So when you start looking at like per 90 numbers and stuff like that, well, you've got to reduce that for Bale because he never plays 90 minutes. But if they did go out tonight, which is obviously a possibility now, like a genuine possibility, the only match they've got outside of Premier League is the EFL Cup final. That's it. Unless I'm looking at it wrong, they're out the FA Cup, so they've got no other matches to play. Yeah. So Bale getting a week's rest in most cases suddenly becomes a better option for me. Will he get injured at some point? Possibly, but then who everyone's got that kind of potential to happen. Then maybe use a transfer down the line. So if they get knocked out, I'll be much more tempted to do Son to Bale, I think.
And they've also got that extra fixture they're owed as well. So at some point they're doubling.
Yes, yeah, that's absolutely true. And we've both got the free hit. So, options are open. You could free hit in 33 and ignore Spurs and City players for that week, or you could just save it for doubles. I think the free hit, I'm not saying it's better than the wild card, but it does offer a degree of flexibility right now, which I think could be missed for others. So, I think Son to Bale has got legs. It'd be interesting to see if either of us do it, but obviously we will be back next week to find out. If you have enjoyed it, please do give it a like and hit subscribe. As I said, we are recording this live. We haven't seen the Spurs full result yet, so obviously we're talking around that. By the time most of you watch this, you'll know the result, so you can take our opinions based on that, whatever the result was. Gianni, thank you for joining me for another bit more time in front of your computer today.
Thank you, mate. And I'll be back with Scoutcast Match Day on Friday night, watching the first game of this game week, which I think is going to have goals. So do join us for Fulham versus Leeds Scoutcast Match Day on the Scout YouTube channel.
And I should say one last thing: we have got a new. Have Spurs just conceded? No, I don't think so. We're live. Right? I just saw a bunch of tweets from Spurs fans. It made it sound like they conceded. Anyway, there is a new Fantasy Football Scout community Twitter page, which is FFS_community on Twitter, obviously at FFS_community. There is a link in the description below as well. So if you want to check that out, make sure you do. There's been Q&As with people like Az and Zofar over there. Link in the description below. Just click on that and make sure to hit that follow button. We'll leave it there. Gianni, thank you once again for joining me.
Thank you, mate. Speak soon.
Good luck, everyone, this week. I'll be back tomorrow with Team News with Neil, which I think is going to be a big one, important one. Hopefully there's quotes about Son, Bamford, Saka, etc., plus everybody else. Hopefully there's no more spanners in the works, because that would be super annoying. But enjoy the rest of the evening. Hopefully you enjoy Man United beating AC Milan. Hit that like button. Hit subscribe.